Hi, today I'm joined with Paul Truscott, who is in a private group with us. He's very, very, very knowledgeable when it comes down to local SEO, Google business profiles, semantic SEO, and a lot of other things. So today's talk is related to Eav Triples within semantic SEO. So Paul, let's get started. Why is Eav semantic triples important for SEO?
Right, okay. They essentially form the entire backbone of Google's knowledge graph. So I think probably for traditional SEOs, the best way to explain, the Google kind of calculates everything in nodes and edges. So the best way to explain that to a traditional SEO is the old link. So a hyperlink is an edge that connects two nodes, one being the source domain and page, and then one being the target domain and page, and you connect the two by that edge. But Google uses that same essential system to connect everything, and that's how the knowledge graph really works. It's connecting all of these different facts together, and every fact it can't exist on its own. Like a fact has to consist of more than one thing. So you've got entities, for example. So you could say, like James Dooley, if I use your name, it doesn't mean anything. Like if I just say, yeah, James Dooley, okay, but in what context? What do I mean by that? So I have to connect it with something. So I can say you're a podcaster. So now I've created a triple, right? I've got two nodes and an edge that connects them. So with EAV, the importance of it is that there's a value attached to it that is specific. So why it's important to pay attention to this with SEO, I mean, apart from the obvious that this is how Google is connecting everything through their knowledge graph. But if I, for example, let's say I was writing a page on, I don't know, let's say a Tesla car, and I was looking at the battery life, and I said, yeah, the Tesla battery has a long battery life. Yeah, it lasts. That car will run for quite a few miles. That's nonsense. It's not specific. But if I put an actual value on it and say it's 506 miles, and I might state the type of battery, so that's another Eav triple. So it'd be Tesla. I don't know the models, but Tesla whatever sport blah 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 car has a battery, and the battery type is some sort of ion battery, right? So I can be, if I know exactly the type of battery, I can be very, very specific. And when you're supposedly an expert on a topic, Google would expect to see those things. They'd expect you to know. You wouldn't be talking in, oh yeah, it's quite good, or it lasts a while. You'd be very, very specific about all of the details on it. So when Google's looking at the content that you've created, it's matching all of the facts that you presented on your page with what it knows about that topic in the knowledge graph. And it's doing it by using triples. And the most important of those are Eav triples.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, what does EAV actually stand for?
Yeah, probably a good idea to actually, I should have started with that. What's the terminology? So it's entity, attribute, value. Yeah. So in this case, the entity is a node, the attribute is an edge, okay, and the value is a node. And so we connect those two nodes via an attribute. Yeah. So an example would be, a capital city of a country. So every country is going to have a capital city, but the value is going to be different for each country. For Britain, for England, it's London. For France, it's Paris. So in the case of France is an entity. It has an attribute, which is capital, and the value of that is Paris. Yeah. So it's not always numeric values. It can be a different type of value. It can be a different type of entity. It doesn't have to be a value, a numerical value. It's a value still, but not a numeric one.
Yeah, I think the big thing there that you spoke about earlier, when you're speaking about hyperlinks, and hyperlinks connects is the edge between two nodes, right? So when I was in Kusadesi at Corey's event, everyone was saying it's all about the lines and dots, baby.
Yeah,
And what I was meaning
100%.
by that is connecting the nodes all together with the edges, to feed the knowledge graph. So with regards to an entity, an attribute, and a value, obviously, like you said, you've got England, capital, London, and you're connecting these things together. Do you feel that links, the more that Google's moved towards semantic SEO and the knowledge graph, do you think nowadays links aren't really as important as long as you're doing the EAV triples in the content? You still, almost like the unlinked mentions everyone's talking about now, seems to be having more power than ever if you're doing it in the correct manner? Or do you still think that you need the link, the hyperlink, to connect the nodes together?
I think just like the words on the page, the links that you use, it depends on the link.
Yeah.
Like if you use the wrong link, it's like using the wrong word.
Yeah.
The wrong word association. Okay, you can do more harm than good. So if you've got links coming in from an authority domain that is on the same topic as yours, and particularly if it's on a page from a similar context for that topic, then that's going to have more weight than a link that's on a completely unrelated topic. And then the other thing that you've got to factor in now is that Google is looking at links and determining whether they have any value by the traffic that comes to the domain. So I don't think you have to have traffic to the page. I might be wrong on that, but what I've seen is that you don't need to have traffic to the page, but you need the domain to be getting traffic. So that the source domain, if the source domain gets no traffic, that link's really not going to be of any value, even if it's extremely relevant, because Google's not going to see that as an authority. We can look at all the third-party metrics in the world, but they don't mean anything. They're so easy to fabricate.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is traffic is the king, because if Google knows if that site's not getting any traffic, it's not an authority. No site can be an authority if it gets no traffic, no matter what the numbers say on Moz or Majestic or whatever. They don't really mean anything.
And with regards to in the semantic SEO, a lot of people now are talking about semantic triples. So obviously connecting those nodes via edges to other nodes, entities and or subjects and objects and stuff like that. Do you think that the entity attribute value is the most important semantic triple? Are they all important?
Well, they're all important, but I think because the knowledge graph is constituted primarily with the, EAV triples, because they have a specific value that Google's going to understand. So when you actually, you can create a triple out of anything, but you might not find that Google has any knowledge of what you've just said.
Yeah.
So then they're going to infer the trust based on other things that you've said, and that's going to be a lot of the EAV triples that they have stored in the knowledge graph. Like if you state something in an EAV triple that Google knows to be true, and you've got multiple statements like that across your entire site that Google knows to be true, then you're going to be more trusted than a site that doesn't have as many acknowledged truths on it. And then that is going to give you more credibility with Google when they've come across a triple that they don't understand, that's not an EAV triple, or at least not one that they have knowledge of. Because you could be stating things that are about your own business that are very specific. The Google doesn't, up until you state them, doesn't have any knowledge of it. So that's not going to be stored anywhere. So the inferred trust is going to come from other things, not just your on-page, of course, that's just first party. But it's important to get that right, because as you've said yourself numerous times, that first party source, your main source or the entity home, it's absolutely crucial to get everything on there correct, because if it isn't, everything else that you do really is pointless. Yeah, to validate it. But yeah, I think it's just my opinion based on everything that I've read and a lot of stuff that's come from Corey. And it's interesting with Corey's case studies, for example, I'd urge people to reread them and reread them and reread them, because every time I've read them again, I mean, it might be that I'm a bit dense, to be honest. I'm not the cleverest bloke in the world, so I do have to read things a few times before it sinks in. But The more times I read them, it's like reading them with a microscope initially, where you're getting into the minutiae of everything, but you can't piece it all together. And then the more you read them, you're zooming out all the time. This is for me anyway. And then eventually you have this more bird's eye view of the whole case study, and the penny drops, and you just go, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. I can see how this all fits together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit like having a jigsaw puzzle, staring at one tiny piece and looking at where that piece fits, but you can't see the whole picture from there. You're too myopic. But I find when you read them numerous times, same with his course, I've done that numerous times. That guy, I mean, he takes a lot of knocks. Like, everyone seems to want to knock Corey. There was a comment I read, particularly derogatory the other day, very personal, which I thought, apart from being unprofessional, said more about the person that said it than certainly Corey. But these people, I think, can not possibly have read anything that he's written. Because if you actually start reading what he's written and applying it,